just to kick us off on the meeting, I want to welcome everybody. It's already March of 2018. It's been an exciting year so far. The Hero Club, our mission and the vision of what the Hero Club is all about is about you and helping you to grow your businesses faster and really creating a platform where we're celebrating how critically important entrepreneurial CEOs and the growth that you're driving with your companies and the companies and influencers and executives that you are supporting every day is just so critical. And so one of the things that we do is these digital meetings. And the purpose of the digital meeting is all about finding out information, hearing from the experts in different areas that maybe you've considered for your business or you haven't. And certainly I expect with the diversity of our Hero Club, we'll have the full range and any topic that we bring to the forefront. There's, certainly a lot to cover. And we want to be able to create those conversations. So I'm really thrilled to be able to welcome Terry Brock and David Yu to the meeting today. We're going to be talking about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And I would claim not to be any kind of expert in this area. I'll be listening attentively as well. It's a really exciting area and certainly impacts all of us. And it's just a matter of how, when, and why. And so thrilled to have this conversation. Please, you can put it on gallery view so you can see everybody in the video conference. And everybody's muted right now, but you can unmute yourself to ask questions. So please form your questions. The experts we have today are just absolutely phenomenal. David Yu, again, very proud to say David is a Hero Club member, a brand new one. So I'm also learning about David and his team and everything they're doing at BLMP. David has 15 years experience starting right at the beginning in terms of programming and building middleware, and now is leading BLMP, which is doing all kinds of phenomenal builds for virtual sales and all kinds of all kinds of alternate reality that's based on this technology that's really exciting in terms of the application within a company. So really thrilled to have both Terry and David's perspective and where they're coming from. What are you most excited about in what's happening with digital currency and blockchain technology? Can you give us a little bit more in terms of your background and how you're actually, focused on blockchain technology and what it's meaning for your business?
Great. Yeah. So yeah, I've been a programmer since the early 2000s. I built middleware, socket programming, low-level programming for publicly traded companies. And I've been following blockchain since the beginning. And right now is when it's maturing and people are starting to realize the impact that it's going to have on everyone's lives. And now, regardless of people's level of technical expertise, I always go back to, I guess, one single fact about blockchain. If you can understand that, then you'll understand the impact it's going to have on society. And what that means is blockchain represents one single universal source of truth. Now that sounds kind of abstract, but the implications of that are huge. And the best metaphor I've ever read on the internet, and there's only been one, it's a think tank coming out of Australia. It's a blockchain think tank. And there's a Medium post out there, and basically they describe blockchain. The best metaphor is the invention of mechanical time. Now that sounds really weird, but if you think back to the days before there was mechanical time, everything was run by nature or feelings. And you would get up when the rooster crows, etc. There was way too much variance every day. But as soon as there was mechanical time, that was one universal source of truth. It's the same way as blockchain. So, if you look at the clock right now, everyone agrees what time it is. So the implications of mechanical time were unimaginable when it was first created. So now all of a sudden you can do trade, it's all synchronized. Yeah, everything is more efficient. You can actually deliver fair compensation to workers. You can pay them properly for how many hours they're working every day. all the way till now, which was unimaginable. We're tweaking, computer clock cycles, billions of operations per second without being able to measure time. These kind of innovations would never happen. And that's blockchain. It's a whole new world, and it's the future, and how it's going to impact our lives are right now literally unimaginable. So whatever, that's kind of how I always like to explain it. And so what we're doing is we're actually doing something the same. We're doing something that was unimaginable before. Mm-hmm. So our lead mentor is a gentleman by the name of Hank Rogers. He's the founder of Tetris, #1 casual game in the world. So basically what we're doing is we're connecting global brands with digital platforms, and we're putting, officially licensed virtual goods inside of games. Now, the reason why this couldn't happen before without blockchain is because, the gaming industry, for example, we went from paying for discs to downloads to now just virtual items, and how do you track those transactions? So if someone like Tetris, like Hank, licenses his product over into China, there's no trust. How much money is he leaving on the table? How does he know if they're fairly compensating him? By the time their accounting department gets back and his, he's getting paid 6 months later, there's no way to figure out any of this. But using blockchain, everyone can track every single transaction. There's transparency. You can get paid in real time. So this is these are the things that are now, available because of blockchain technology. So hope that kind of explains a little bit better for everyone.
Phenomenal. Yes. I mean, one thing I'd like to do before we start going out to questions is really think to and get your perspective on, for entrepreneurial CEOs across the board, from franchise owners through to energy, an energy company. What are the biggest opportunities you see to capitalize on today and to set up for tomorrow when it comes to blockchain and cryptocurrency? I mean, for us, it was a big deal to take our first payment in cryptocurrency. That's a tiny, tiny baby step. Just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
The two things, one is, sounds very obvious, but it's opportunity and the wealth of information nowadays. So, if you look and compare back very simply into, the .com era when everything was changing, if you weren't in the Valley, you had no idea what was happening. And that helped and shaped and create, a whole new world that we've been living in the last, 20 years. Okay. Now with this wealth of information that we have, we live in an information age. Now actually everybody can participate, and we're getting the biggest change of wealth in human history right now because of that access to information. So that is the #1 opportunity. You can do your research and you can get involved. #2 would be, I guess, like you said yourself, it's adoption. So any way that anyone can kind of focus, regardless of industry, on how to help create adoption is going to be profitable in some way. I mean, that's really the key. Is getting more people using it and focusing on those kind of tools. So whatever industry you're in and whatever you plan to develop, if it's using blockchain or not, it's all about adoption. I mean, the more people that adopt it, the more powerful blockchain technology becomes, right?
So adoption. So what do you mean by adoption? Just to be specific about it.
Well, adoption, like you said, you just learn how to accept this cryptocurrency now. I mean, right. Someone walked you through it, and I don't want to say it almost like a cult, but like blockchain, the more people that are involved in the network, the more powerful it becomes. And that's why you have these blockchain evangelists since the beginning of time, right? I mean, John Oliver made a huge funny skit about it, where you had this guy the last 5 years preaching about blockchain. But it's true. I mean, and as enterprise comes in, which is what we're trying to do, bring in, big brands like Nintendo and Tetris, et cetera, as we bring a big enterprise into blockchain, the whole ecosystem and community benefits. Mm-hmm. So the more that join and making it easier for people to join is critical in any kind of blockchain project.
Could you walk us through if my company needs to be thinking about how to use blockchain technology in a meaningful way? What are those baby steps? And certainly Terry, jump in, but what are those baby steps? What do I do? Who do I speak to? I understand, there's the personal investing side and getting engaged. That's important. But what are those, crawl, walk, run steps in terms of how I start to build it into my company, my strategy, and my success in the future?
Okay, great question. Now, I guess that would depend on your situation. But as an entrepreneur, I think the best things to focus on is really understanding like how this new thing that everybody's talking about and is excited about, how is that applicable to your business or what you're trying to do? Now, it may impact you in a variety of ways. It could be as simple as like you said today, accepting a new form of payment. And your whatever enterprise that you're trying to drive forward, may not be applicable for blockchain technology. But adoption in terms of like accepting that kind of payment and transacting in cryptocurrency might be the only aspect. And then that can range from that small aspect of accepting cryptocurrency all the way to what am I doing right now? Actually, if I can apply blockchain technology to what I'm doing, and it's a valid use case, this can actually revolutionize the world and create a new market. And, that's what people are trying to do with land titles, healthcare, bank transfer payments, anything where there's some sort of middleman. So on a very high level, it's like Terry was saying, it's decentralization. So what that means is, the analogy I use to people is it's kind of a bad analogy, but at the same time people get it. It's like, hey, what happened to taxi drivers when Uber came out? That's blockchain. All of a sudden you cut out the middleman. You're all of a sudden going directly to someone who's driving a car and you who wants to be in a car. So that's where you see a lot of the first applications, the initial, because blockchain is still in its infancy and everybody can get involved. You're seeing the most obvious uses of blockchain, which is decentralization, getting rid of the middleman, and a lot of peer-to-peer, which means like, you and me, kind of transactions where you don't need any kind of intermediary. And, that's why payments are so hot. Everyone talks about payments because, it is kind of ridiculous. I can give you $5 in a physical bill and you can give me back money and, no one's involved. But if I want to, send you money, it has to go through, 100 different companies, it's ridiculous. It's a whole process. If I want to send it across the world, it's crazy. So that's the first, obvious use of blockchain technology. Also very important as entrepreneurs. If you guys are entrepreneurs are thinking about doing blockchain technology, the blockchain, I would ask for advice. If you do feel like you have an idea and you want to apply blockchain technology to it, the best thing to do is to reach out to the community and ask if whatever you're trying to do is a really applicable use of blockchain technology. Because if not, right now it's still kind of very early, and the people that are involved are very nerdy, computer people. And if they'll tell you right away if what you're trying to do is applicable or not. And that's kind of what you want to do. You don't want to waste any time getting and wasting time and thinking about using blockchain as like I'll make things blockchainy, because you'll get a lot of blowback, unfortunately, which is something you want to look out for. But if you start talking to people and they're like, wow, what you're talking about is amazing, then you have something really good, and you have an opportunity that only comes up once every 20 years. So you should pursue that as hard as you can.
What do you think the biggest changes are that we're going to see in larger enterprise size organizations when it comes to cryptocurrency and blockchain?
Without getting too technical, I think this is a great question. So first off, there's two things out there really that's called public chains and private chains. And public chains are what people know as, Bitcoin, Ethereum, things like that. Anybody can participate in this network. Now, private chains are, what people would do internally. Think of it like the internet and then your intranet, your internal LAN, your local area network. Enterprise has not entered into blockchain yet because of two main problems. Fundamentally, unfortunately, blockchain is great, but like you said, it's still a baby. So there's two main things about blockchain that enterprise has to deal with. Number one, it's called scalability. It doesn't scale very well. Right now the Bitcoin network can maybe do 10 transactions a second, and Ethereum's a little bit better, and it can do maybe like 25, 30 at maximum. It can go up and down, ranging upon network congestion. But games like CryptoKitties, if you've heard of it, bring the network down, which is insane. Obviously you can't do any kind of production level enterprise production level applications yet because of scalability. Privacy, business transactions, not everybody wants to be, publicly traded companies, they don't want everyone to analyze all of their transactions out there for everyone on the network. So, that's going to be the problem. The good news, though, is that I firmly believe 2018 is the year of enterprise entering blockchain. How quickly the blockchain is maturing. There's a lot of new frameworks out there that are coming out. Microsoft Coco is coming out. The Corda platform, it's a consortium-based blockchain. It's a bunch of banks. They're maturing. They're coming out. The Hyperledger projects with the distributed ledger technology, they're maturing. So I think it really is the year of enterprise entering in, and once they do, that will force a lot of adoption, mainstream adoption, and everyone will see the value of the blockchain at that point. And that's why we're excited for our company as well, because that's actually what we're doing. We're bringing global brands with huge game publishers and really testing the limits of putting into production an enterprise level type of solution, blockchain solution. So I think this is the year definitely where there's a lot of options right now. Like I said, the creator of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, they're working on working on the scalability, and then the privacy aspect is kind of if you're talking about the two main problems, it's kind of secondary because you can do a mix. It's what's called a permission-based blockchain or consortium blockchain. And that's what a lot of banks are doing to manage their intercompany transfers and things like that. They might be doing a mix of a private network mixed with the public network. So everyone that's on there, it's called permission-based, is because they're a known entity. Mm-hmm. So it's not that some random person can just join the network. So all the nodes are known. So I mean, that's why I think it's progressing very quickly, and 2018 is really the year of enterprise.
Amazing. Okay, what questions do we have? I could keep going all day. I think that 9 o'clock time slot that you mentioned, Terry.
Until 9 o'clock tonight, right?
Exactly. John, I see you're off mute. You have a question?
I do, yes. First of all, thank you all for this. It's very interesting. We've certainly been involved with various aspects of trying to understand this for a lot of reasons over the past months. But I think the distinction made here between blockchain and multiple applications of it versus cryptocurrency is a very important one. On the cryptocurrency side of it, interested in how the speakers here think about, both Terry and David, the regulatory side of this, because when you think about the banks and financial services industry, the people who are being bypassed potentially, they may be using blockchain for their own secure transactions, but do they really want to support cyber currency? So a little different than Uber coming in and disrupting a taxi cab driver who owns a couple of medallions. When you're messing with the big banking system and FINRA and all the regulatory systems, what's going on in that world? I haven't seen anything really written about that or how they're reacting to it. Whether they're embracing it or as their future as well, or are they going to try to stop it?
Ultimately, really quickly, that my take on it is that it's going to be around forever. Now, money is just a ledger as well, and it's backed by the belief that whatever government that prints that paper is good for it. So I mean, I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to be around forever, but I'm saying that some type of cryptocurrencies will be around. It's kind of that whole aspect that people are now empowered to be able to transfer value without any intermediary is not going to go away. Now that people actually realize that they can transfer value without any intermediary whatsoever, and embrace that.
So can we spend a little bit of time talking about all the naysayers of blockchain and Bitcoin and the others? I mean, Tricia and I were at a conference or an event. Was that last week, I guess?
Yes.
And we met the guy that created the show. I'm not gonna. What's it? Were you? Do you remember the guy that we were talking to, Tricia? It's a TV show. He's the guy that has 197 IQ. And I asked him about Bitcoin, and he said Bitcoin died 2 years ago, and it takes more power than the country of Iceland uses. So that's really my question: is where do we think it's going, and will it ever just implode. I'm not really talking about it from just a cryptocurrency, but just from a technology perspective of, you know, the amount of energy it takes to continue to mine coin, and with the ever increasing complexity that it introduces with blocks being created every 10 minutes. You know, from a technology perspective, that's where he was saying it was going to, you know, it wasn't sustainable. That's the only thing I'm curious is the technology sustainable? Maybe that's a question for David.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and actually he's accurate. So what they're using, okay, so to give you guys a quick overview, in general, like I said, money and everything, it's all about trust and consensus. Hello, you guys hear? Okay,
we can hear you.
And consensus. So what you guys are talking about right now is this thing called proof of work. It's the mining that's made famous in Bitcoin. And yes, they're solving complex mathematical equations. It's draining a lot of power. It's very power inefficient. It's ruining the planet, etc. But there are plans already to move to different kind of consensus mechanisms. That's what it's called, consensus mechanism. So there's another one called proof of stake, which is what the Ethereum network is looking to work towards. Proof of stake means that if you have interested parties that carry a lot of account balances that are large, they almost like vote on a random lottery between all these guys that have a lot of stake in the network. It's in their best interest to, you know, keep the network sound and true. So that is what everyone's kind of moving towards. It's called proof of stake. There's a lot of different kind of consensus mechanisms out there, and everyone kind of realizes that this is not sustainable. So Chuck, to answer your question there, yes, what you're talking about is, will it implode? If things currently try to stay the same way, yes, because theoretically that cannot scale properly. It takes up too much power, and the number of transactions you can do are limiting. But everyone's looking at moving towards proof of stake, or there's a lot of other proofs called proof of elapsed time. That's a lottery-based system as well. I mean, there's a lot of options that the technology is kind of looking to implement all within the next year or two. So, you know, as it stands right now, if people are just studying, you know, Bitcoin and mining, yes. I mean, you know, you're getting super groups of miners that are hammering away, draining lots of power. But that's not actually the future of blockchain technology. Everyone kind of recognizes this. This is why it's a great community. And the developers and programmers and all that kind of stuff behind it know that we need to move to something else.
Fantastic. We have time for maybe
hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, Chuck, does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think that does answer the question. And he had mentioned a proof of, you know, if you're going to integrate, you know, using blockchain in any type of technology, you need to get a proof of work to make sure that it's going to accurately, you know, it's going to serve a purpose. I mean, for my business, we want to incorporate blockchain as a form of DRM. And so, you know, my concern is, you know, is it really going to be something we should utilize, and not just utilize it because it's the way to go after raising money in an ICO? So, you know, that was really my question. And thank you, David. That was a great explanation. I appreciate it. And also to you, Terry. I appreciate it as well. I agree with you. I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere, but I just wanted to hear how the experts would answer that question when somebody says it's dead. So,
and David, if you could just, you know, sum up, you know, what are the top 3 takeaways for our entrepreneurial CEOs, and again, every size, every industry and sector all across the country and outside of our borders in America. You know, what would those 3 key takeaways be from what we've talked about here? And if there's something we missed, by all means, please let us know.
I think what we talked about really is important, that it is here to stay. Number one, it's not something that's going to go away, but it will change. It's going to morph almost daily. And so that means, number 2, get educated. Really get into the space, study it. Some of the websites that I mentioned and others are very good. Put it on your radar. You definitely want to study it. And then third, if it's right for you, I would say look at the way that you could implement it and get involved. A good way to do it, again, taking some money that you would just spend on lunch money and get some coin. Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash look good. There are a lot of others out there, and I'll let you decide what it is. Go over to coinmarketcap.com. You'll see a list of many, many coins that are out there, and just look at those, start doing some study, and see how you can get involved in it. It's an amazing technology. It is changing and will continue to change our planet, and it's something we all need to know about.
Thank you, Chair. David, what would be your 3 top takeaways for us?
I think Terry covered it. I mean, that's great. Yeah, educate yourself, get involved, and seize the day. You know, I mean, this is a time that only happens every once in a while, like the .com era. People talk about those kinds of things. This is kind of like that. Really, it is. So the sooner that you can become familiar with the technology, like Terry says, you know, buy $20 worth, just figure it out. You know, how to get a wallet, things like that, and also seize the day in terms of business opportunities. I mean, like I said, the impact of this is unimaginable yet, and that's truly accurate. I mean, how this is going to impact technology, not just technology, everybody's daily lives, is still, you know, unknown. So, I mean, you know, all these entrepreneurs that we're talking to right now, you guys could be the ones that are creating the next, you know, who knows what, Google or what have you, right? And this could be the first step towards that. So seize the day, definitely. And if you guys have any other questions, I know because we ran out of time, I think you guys are going to provide my LinkedIn or whatever. Just shoot me a message. I'm more than happy to answer anybody, you know, in the network, any technical questions or anything, you know, just in general about this.
So David, Terry Brock, thank you so much. This was just such a great introduction. I'm seeing all kinds of nodding heads. I mean, not only did we get some very practical advice and expertise, but also the inspiration of seizing the day, which, I mean, we're all heroes on this call. So that's calling out our heartstrings. So thank you again. I'll send a thank you note tomorrow. I'll make sure that I CC Terry and David so that you can reach out directly and follow up with each of them. And thank you again.